Daddy, I told her mom's secret last night. Ethan Brooks froze halfway down the wooden stairs, one hand still resting on the railing polished smooth by years of use. The voice belonged to his daughter, Lily, soft and sleepy, carrying something he had not heard in a very long time. Warmth. Morning light slipped through the kitchen windows of the cabin, painting gold across the worn pine floor. The smell of coffee drifted upward. Cinnamon too. And laughter. Quiet laughter. He reached the last step and stopped breathing for a second. A woman stood at his stove wearing his old red flannel shirt, sleeves rolled to her elbows, her blonde hair loosely tied back as steam rose from a skillet. Lily sat at the table beside her, head resting gently against the woman's arm, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Ethan stared. The shirt was his favorite one. The one he had not worn since last winter. The one folded in the laundry basket after the storm last night. The woman turned slowly. Gray eyes met his. Calm. Tired. Beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with makeup or money. She gave a small smile that looked almost apologetic. Good morning, she said quietly. Ethan blinked once. You're awake. He glanced at Lily. Then back at the stranger he had carried through snow 12 hours earlier after finding her beside a disabled SUV on County Road 16, with freezing rain soaking through her coat. He had offered shelter because that was who he was. No questions. No expectations. Just dignity. Just grace. But this was something else. Lily looked up. Her cheeks held color again. Actual color. Ethan had spent 2 years praying for that after cancer took his wife and silence moved into their home like winter that refused to leave. Daddy, Lily whispered, fingers curled around a chipped mug of cocoa. She made pancakes shaped like stars. Ethan swallowed. The kitchen suddenly felt too small for his heartbeat. The woman lowered her eyes. I'm sorry about the shirt, she said softly. Mine got soaked and your daughter insisted I take it. Lily immediately sat up straighter. I did. Ethan almost smiled. Almost. Outside, fresh snow rested over the fence posts. And the old pickup in the driveway. The world looked still. Quiet. Like it was holding its breath. He stepped forward slowly. I never asked your name. She hesitated. 1 second. 2. Something flickered behind her eyes. Not fear. Not exactly. More like someone deciding how much truth they could afford. Then she looked at Lily again. The little girl had fallen asleep against her shoulder without even realizing it. The woman brushed a strand of hair from Lily's forehead with impossible gentleness. Her voice dropped lower. Softer. My name is Claire. She paused. And last night, her fingers tightened around the coffee mug. Last night your daughter told me something she thought nobody else remembered. Ethan's chest tightened. The room went still. Even the coffee maker stopped humming. Claire lifted her eyes to his. She told me her mother used to say that if Lily ever smiled like this again. Her voice almost broke. You weren't supposed to be afraid of loving someone new. The words settled over Ethan like snow falling onto old tracks. He did not move. He simply stood there with one hand resting against the back of a kitchen chair, while the fire in the cast iron stove crackled softly behind him. Lily had gone quiet again, her eyes moving between them as though she sensed something larger than pancakes, and morning light was happening inside the room. Ethan finally looked away first. He reached for the coffee pot and poured himself a cup. The scent rose warm and familiar, grounding him. Lily, he said gently, why do not you finish breakfast and feed Daisy after? Lily nodded. Okay, Daddy. She slid from her chair, wrapped her small sweater tighter, and headed toward the mudroom where their old golden retriever waited every morning beside the back door. The moment she disappeared, silence settled in. Claire lowered her eyes to the stove. I am sorry, she whispered. I should not have said it like that. Ethan stared into his coffee. No, his voice was quiet. You just said something I have not heard in 2 years. Outside, wind moved through the pines behind the cabin. Snow slipped from branches in soft white clouds. The world beyond the windows looked endless, peaceful, the kind of morning his wife used to love. Claire folded her hands. Last night, she could not sleep. Ethan looked up. Claire continued softly. The storm scared her at first. I stayed in the hallway because I did not want her waking up alone. Her eyes drifted toward Lily's empty chair. She asked if mothers still watch from heaven when children forget how to smile. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. Claire continued before he could answer. Then she showed me a drawing. Ethan frowned slightly. A drawing? Claire nodded. A house. 3 people holding hands. She swallowed. One of them had no face. The kitchen became painfully still. Ethan knew that picture. He had found versions of it in Lily's room for months. Always 3 figures. Always one unfinished. He sat down slowly. She never showed me that one. Claire gave a small smile filled with sadness. Maybe she was waiting. Ethan studied her now, really studied her. She did not look like someone who belonged in a cabin 30 miles from town. Her hands were careful. Her posture carried quiet discipline. Even in his old flannel shirt, there was something composed about her, like a person used to boardrooms instead of wood stoves. Yet this morning she looked tired. Human. Almost fragile. You said your name is Claire, he said. Where were you going last night? Her fingers paused around the coffee mug. 1 second. 2. She looked toward the window where fresh snow covered his old Ford pickup. Away, she answered softly. Ethan waited. She gave a faint smile that never reached her eyes. Sometimes people with everything still need somewhere to breathe. Before Ethan could reply, Lily burst back into the room with snow on her boots and excitement on her face. Daddy, she said breathlessly, there is a black car down by the road. Ethan turned toward the window. Far beyond the fence line, half hidden between snow-covered pines, a dark SUV sat motionless near the entrance path. Claire went completely still. The color quietly left her face. Claire did not blink. She did not move toward the window. She simply stood beside the stove with both hands wrapped around the coffee mug as if warmth alone could keep the past from walking through the snow. Ethan noticed it immediately. The still shoulders. The careful breathing. The quiet kind of fear that did not shout. Lily pressed closer to the glass. Maybe somebody is lost, she said hopefully. Ethan stepped beside her. The SUV sat nearly a quarter-mile away near the old wooden gate at the bottom of the property. Engine off. Dark windows. Snow gathering along the roof. It had not been there 5 minutes ago. He looked back at Claire. You know who that is. It was not a question. Claire lowered her eyes. Possibly. Lily turned around. Friends. Claire forced a smile. Not exactly. The little girl seemed ready to ask more, but Daisy barked from the porch and pulled her attention away. She hurried